Since coming to power in Italy in October 1922, Benito Mussolini wanted to bring under his control the small country of Albania, which was located east of Italy and just across the Strait of Otranto. Albania had a largely undeveloped, near-feudalistic agricultural economy and virtually no industries. In 1926, Albania's autocratic president, Ahmet Zogu, wanting to modernize Albania, established closer ties with Italy. 2 treaties were signed, where Albania agreed to place itself within the Italian sphere of political, military, and economic influence. In September 1928, Albania transformed itself into a monarchy, with Zogu becoming monarch as King Zog, bearing the designation as King of the Albanians. In the following years, Italian control of Albania increased, and Italian loans were used to finance Albania's infrastructure development, including transportation and communication systems, and to prop up the Albanian economy. The Italian military also trained and equipped the fledging Albanian Army. King Zog, soon wanting to loosen the Italian stranglehold on his country, in 1931 allowed the 5-year First Treaty of Tirana to lapse without renewal. However, in 1933, because of the ongoing Great Depression, hard-hit Albania defaulted on its loan payments to Italy. Mussolini demanded harsh measures on Albania, including bringing under Italian control the Albanian police, customs, industries, and public works, and allowing Italians to settle in Albania. These measures would effectively relegate Albania to being an Italian protectorate. King Zog rejected these demands, cut the national budget by 30% to reduce government spending, expelled the Italian military advisors, and nationalized the Italian Catholic schools. Mussolini retaliated by sending warships to the Albanian coast and tried to coax King Zog to accept a gift of 3 million gold francs, both of which failed to impress the Albanian monarch. In 1934, Albania tried to forge closer ties with its Balkan neighbors, Greece and Yugoslavia, as well as with the other major European powers, Britain, France, and Germany, but these initiatives ultimately did not succeed. Meanwhile, Italy continued to control Albania's finances, and by the late 1930s, Albania was again fully dependent on Italian financial support. Also by 1938, Mussolini actively pursued his long-held ambition of bringing Albania under full Italian control in light of the rapidly changing regional events. Mussolini's ally, German dictator Adolf Hitler, was actively pursuing rearmament and appeared to have gained greater military power than Italy. In March 1938, Hitler forced the Anschluss, the political annexation of Austria. Then in September 1938, following Czechoslovakia's Sudetenland being ceded to Germany under the terms of the Munich Agreement, in March 1939, Germany completed the dissolution of Czechoslovakia. To Mussolini, these feats by Hitler threatened to upstage his traditional role as the leader of fascism, and an Italian invasion of Albania would somewhat level the score. Albania itself also possessed strategic value in that it would allow Italian expansion into Eastern Europe. Located at the entrance to the Adriatic Sea, Albania could provide Italy with a base to penetrate the Balkans. With a presence in southeastern Europe, Italy would use its navy to attain mastery of the Mediterranean Sea, which Mussolini envisioned under the Mare Nostrum concept. On March 25, 1939, 10 days after Germany annexed Czechoslovakia, Italy issued an ultimatum to King Zog, demanding that Albania accept Italian military occupation of his country. Albania's ports, air facilities, communication networks, and other key infrastructures were to be controlled by Italians, measures that would relegate Albania to being a vassal state of Italy. After receiving no reply, in the following days, Italy issued more ultimatums, with the threat that it would invade on April 7, 1939. King Zog sent a reply rejecting the Italian demands, and pleaded intervention by Britain, France, and the United States. However, at this time, the British and French were pursuing diplomacy with Hitler and did not wish to get involved, while the Americans had a policy of neutrality and non-involvement in European affairs, and so also did not act. In Tirana, Albania's capital, the general population, alarmed at the increasingly aggressive Italian rhetoric, broke out in anti-Italian protest demonstrations. On April 6, 1939, Italian planes dropped leaflets in key cities, which contained another ultimatum by Mussolini. In response, Tirana residents called on their government to resist the Italians. However, by this time, many higher-ranking Albanian government leaders and military officers had begun to flee the country, taking refuge mainly in nearby Greece and Yugoslavia. The invasion of Albania was initially not supported by Italy's King Victor Emmanuel III and by Marshal Pietro Badoglio, the Chief of Staff, as well as by other generals. However, Mussolini would have his way, and on April 7, 1939, Italian forces consisting of 20,000 troops, 400 planes, 300 light tanks, and a fleet of warships launched the invasion. A naval bombardment of the Albanian ports opened the offensive, which was followed by amphibious landings in a number of key areas. No serious effort to mount a concerted defense was made by the 15,000-strong, poorly equipped Albanian army, which saw the futility of resisting the vastly superior invading forces. The Albanian High Command also failed to mobilize its reserves. King Zog tried to make a radio broadcast for his army to leave the towns and cities and take to the mountains, from where he would lead them in a guerrilla resistance. However, the Italians blocked the radio airwaves. At the advice of the Albanian parliament, on April 7th, King Zog left the country for Greece. He and the royal family eventually settled in Britain, where they remained during World War II. Meanwhile, Italian forces easily captured their objectives, with the exception of Durrës, where a motley group of some 300 men, consisting of the local police, some soldiers, and armed civilians, put up a spirited defense that threw back the initial Italian offensive and held their ground for several hours. The Italians brought heavy artillery and armored units into battle and soon captured the city. On April 8, 1939, the Italians entered Tirana without meeting resistance. Other areas were also captured. Fighting in the three-day war soon ended, with the Italians occupying all of Albania. On April 12, 1939, the Albanian parliament reconvened and ended its recognition of King Zog and proposed that Albania be joined politically with Italy as a separate kingdom in personal union with the Italian crown. 5 days later, in official ceremonies in Rome, King Victor Emmanuel was crowned as King of the Albanians. The Italian ambassador to Albania was appointed as the viceroy of the king, essentially becoming the Italian governor-general of Albania. The newly formed Albanian Fascist Party gained political control and subsequently ruled Albania as a one-party state. Italy launched a wide-ranging set of projects in Albania, which included socio-economic programs for the general population, public works construction, and the development of agriculture and the industries, particularly targeting the Albanian chrome and petroleum resources. Italy sought to fully integrate Albania, and Italian administrators implemented Italianization policies to culturally assimilate the Albanian people. The Italian language was taught, while the use of Albanian was discouraged, and a large number of Italian settlers arrived in Albania. Mussolini saw Albania as a springboard to invade the rest of the Balkan region, which to him fell within the Italian sphere of control. His motivation to restart military action was Hitler's spectacular run of successes when World War II broke out in Europe in September 1939. After overrunning Poland with the Soviets, in 1940 the Germans turned north, taking Norway and Denmark, and then west, conquering Luxembourg, the Netherlands, Belgium, and France. Not to be outdone, in late October 1940, Mussolini launched his invasion of Greece, which would have disastrous consequences. Meanwhile, in Albania, by 1941 to 1942, a number of ideology-based resistance movements had emerged, and by 1942, with British and Soviet support, these resistance groups were launching guerrilla actions against the Italian occupation forces.